Hello, my name is Selena Murphy, and today I will walk you through a Tableau prep tutorial which will help you transform complex datasets into a dataset that is more easy to understand and to use in Tableau desktop. Here is the dataset that we'll use today, and the reason why this one is so complex is because it does not use categories to identify what year or what category each variable belongs to. It depends on the name, where you can see underscore 19, 20, 21 pop up, and the general knowledge of knowing to which category each variable belongs to. So we can use Tableau Prep to make this a lot easier for us to use in Tableau Desktop. So instead of using 112 columns like you see on the left, we'll actually turn it into something a lot more manageable, as you see right here. So what we'll do in this Tableau prep tutorial is show you how to turn the complex data that we've shown you before into something a lot more efficient, as you see at the bottom right. I have put the dataset in the description below, so if you want to tag along while I go through the exercises, please do so. So we're at the start of our Tableau prep tutorial, and we will start with connecting our data that I've shown you before in the Excel document into Tableau prep. So when uploading the data into Tableau prep, it will show you all the rows and columns that it has extracted from the Excel file. So as you can see here, again, we see all the variables that are using the underscore 19 to 20, and it does not really tell us a lot about the sport benefit statements that the data is from. So what we'll do here is we will start cleaning the data. When we've pressed on clean step, it will actually make a copy of the whole dataset that we originally uploaded. We will call this step 2019 because our goal is to only have the variables that have underscore 19 in this dataset. We'll do this by adding a calculated field and putting as input 2019. After we've made the calculated field, a new column will pop up called Year with the input 2019. This is the first step into making this complex dataset a lot easier by, instead of relying on the underscore 19 and 20 to identify what year each variable belongs to just have a category telling us that it is the year of 2019. Now that we've added the year 2019, we can start removing all the variables that do not have that underscore 19 in their name. So as you can see here, we're scrolling through and we see athlete 360 starting with the underscore 20, and you will scroll through the whole data set till you come across your next variable that says 19 and kind of delete everything that does not indicate that this was relevant to the year of 2019. As we now have selected all the variables that are not relevant to our year 2019, we will just simply remove them from our current cleaning step. This does not remove them from the original data that you see on the left of the cleaning step. It will just remove those variables for our cleaning step that we are currently in. So now that we have our data categorized by year of 2019, we can make a couple of more cleaning steps that help us identify the category each of these variables belong to in the sport benefit statements categories. So as you can see here, we see high performance, Olympic Paralympic competition, athlete training, medium promotions, and foundational programs. And instead of just knowing exactly where they belong to, we want a category to tell us what category they belong to in the sport benefits statement. So as we've made a new cleaning step, we will do the same as we did in the one before, and that is renaming the cleaning step into the category that we want it to represent. So for this one, we will have the high performance program. For our next step, we will have the second category, which is Olympic and Paralympic competition. Then for our third cleaning step, it would be the category for our athletic training facilities. Then we'll add another for our athlete NGV Foundation program. And our final one will be the Team USA Media and Promotions. So now we have all of the categories in cleaning steps, which will make it easier for us to navigate in the long run. But now for our next step, we will go back into the sport benefit statement and really see what variable belongs to what category. So for our example, we'll use athlete training facilities because it has one of the fewer variables. So we'll press on that cleaning step and go into it. And we will start deleting all the variables that do not reflect on those that are listed in the statements. So for this one, it will just be the locations of the facilities. So now that we've deleted all of them, we can also start renaming our variable names without the 2019 label because we now have the year column to reflect on what year each variable belongs to. So we'll just go ahead and reflect all those variable names to those that we find in the sport benefits statement. So while we are updating the names, we also are going to add a calculated field that we did in the high performance programs, a step I have skipped and previously forgotten about, but you can easily do it by just adding a new calculated field, put in as the name category, and then write down athlete training facilities. This will cause another column to pop up next to year, which will show us the category each of these variables belong to. So while you go ahead and upload those other names, I'll show you quickly how it looks in high performance where we see the category high performance programs. If you are following along, this is a good time to pause the video and to continue updating the names of each of those categories. Here I have already done so, and I will quickly show you how this looks like. So you see the category name and all the variables having their names fully written out like you see in the sport benefit statement. So now that we finished our cleaning steps, that each of the 5 categories reflect the right name and have the right year, we will go into our next step, which is pivoting the tables. This is a step that will allow us to get rid of all of the columns and turn those columns into rows. I will pull up our Athlete NGP Foundational Program, and what you see on the left is all of the columns that we have currently in this step. So what we want to do is we want to select all of them that are within the category of the Athlete NGB Foundational Program and group them together, call them the same category name, and then turn pilot 1 values into just values. So what this step eventually does is that instead of having to drag each of the individual variable into your Tableau desktop, you can now just drag the Athlete NGB Foundational Program and add values to see all of them all together. So this is just a step to make it a lot easier for you to do when you're using Tableau desktop. So we see that our number of fields went down, and now we're just down to 5 fields, which are values, our category name, the Athlete NGB Foundational Programs, the year, and the national governing body. So we will repeat this step for every other category that we have not done yet. So we'll move on to the next one, the Olympic and Paralympic competition. And here we'll do the same thing. We're going to select all the variables that are relevant to that category and drag them into the pivotal fields. And as we do so, you can see in the top left, 12 fields went down to 5 fields because, again, we don't want to select each individual variable when we go into Tableau desktop. We just want to drag in the Olympic and Paralympic competition table and have the values show themselves instead of individually adding those values to that Tableau dashboard or sheet. So as you see, it's again 5 fields where it is the national governing body, year, categories, and the values. So this is a good time to pause again the video and go ahead and do the pivot tables for the other tables as well. So while we come back, you can see I have added a pivot table to each of the cleaning steps. And here is the Team USA Media and Promotion one, where it has the same exact 5 fields with values, the category name, the general category, and the year with the national governing body. Same thing goes for the athletic training facilities. So just to quickly reflect, we've made a 2019 table, we've created a category cleaning step for each of the sport benefit statement categories, and now we have pivoted the tables to, instead of having all the variables be separate, to be grouped together. So what we'll do now is, now all of these are not connected yet, we will create a union to bring all of these variables together into one data set. So as we've created our first union, I will show you what it looks like. And this is what you'll see. You'll see that pivot 1 is a pink color and pivot 3 is orange. And each of the column will show you what pivot data it contains. So in year category, you'll see 2 colors, meaning that both of the pivot tables values are in that one. And in the Olympic and Athlete NGB Foundation columns that are next to each other, you see just one of the colors, which means that it just contains the data from one of the pivot tables and that they do not match. That is what you see on the left of your table where it's at mismatched fields, Athlete NGB Foundational programs, and Olympic and Paralympic competition. This just means that there was not any overlapping data because the column names weren't the same. This is no big deal. This is what we kind of want because we want each of them to have their own column, and we will also add all the other pivot tables together. So this is a big overview. We'll quickly delete the table names because we will not use this. But as you can see on the left, again, you see all the different colors and how in most of the columns that we see, all of them are joined together. So again, ignore those mismatched fields that you see on the left. Those are just the pivot tables that we created because we want each of them to have their own column. So instead of having our original 112 fields, we are now down to 9 fields for just 2019. And it will do recommendations, again, trying to get rid of those mismatched fields. Just ignore those and continue with what we're doing right here. So now that we have finished our union, we'll quickly go back to see our original Excel file that had 112 fields. This is nothing to what our end result is. Even when we go into our 2019 step, we see that we went down to 37 fields. And now that we're going to our union step, we went down to 9 fields, which makes it a lot easier to use in Tableau desktop. So now that we have finished that, I usually just add a cleaning step just to, again, see our final product. You can press on it. It will show you the values, the years, categories, everything that we've just created. So just skimming through our step, I'm showing everything. You can always change the names too, so that is a nice thing to do, or create a calculated field if you have anything else in mind than the steps I just took. So now that we have our finished product for 2019, we can press on output, and this will get us a data extract. And you see that I already had one for this one called output. So I'll just go in and give it a different name, but what this eventually will do is that it will give us our final cleaning step that I just showed you, and it will allow us to download a file that we can open in Tableau desktop. So now that we've run the flow, it will download and extract and put it in my Tableau prep repository, and we'll just press on that, and we'll press on data sources and select our test set that we just created. So what this does is it will show us the exact data that we saw in Tableau prep with our 9 fields, and we will go ahead and press on sheet, and here it is, the final product, where instead of those 112 columns, we just have our pivoted tables that help us easily see what each of those categories have as values. And you can drag the national governing body into filter so you can see it per national governing body, but eventually this has just led to us not having to really use 112 columns and really just use the 9 that we created. And as I'm playing around with the different types of columns, as long as you keep values in there, it will adjust to whatever column you put in. So let's grab high performance programs. It will show you all of the values in that specific category. We'll exclude null, but for our filtered national governing body. And we can change the look of it really easily. And if we take out the national governing filter, you'll see the overall, the total of the 2019 high performance program. Since the data set that I've given you also includes 2020 and 21 data, you can just copy the steps that we did before and do that related to 2020. This is what the end result will look like. We can see our original 2019 data, our 20 data, and 2021. The only extra step is that after we've created a union of each of the years, we'll just drag those 3 unions together and make another union, which will result into maybe a dashboard looking like this, where you can access all of the national governing bodies and all of the years and easily navigate through them. Thank you for tagging along, and I am still learning, so I hope to update you guys soon on even better ways to use Tableau Prep and to create beautiful stories with our complex data.